Being on the property, there's always a ton of jobs to do, whether it's slashing or moving dirt or lifting things, and sometimes you just need a bit of a helping hand. Often you're by yourself. This is where a little machine comes in, really handy. This is my little Yanmar YM1700, so 17 horsepower, made in 1978. When I bought the tractor, it came with 3 implements. That back blade you see right there, a slasher, 4-foot slasher, which was all rotted out. I had to do a lot of repairs on that. And also a lifting jib, which is very, very handy for a little tractor like this. The back bucket that you see there, I made that. There's a separate video on that, I'll put in a link. And I'm really glad I made it. It's been so handy on the property. It has a little 2-cylinder diesel engine in it, about 17 horsepower. It just chugs away, uses about a cup of fuel every hour. It doesn't move very fast. But when I got it, of course it needed a lot of work, and that's what this video is about. I got this tractor with a number of jobs that needed doing. I don't think it had any maintenance really on it for a long, long time. Bought it Christmas Eve and picked it up on Boxing Day 2021 from a family that were well into their Christmas celebrations. Getting off the trailer was a bit sketchy, but fortune favours the brave. Bought the tractor for $2,500 Australian dollars, and all in all it was a pretty good buy. It's not too bad, had a bit of wear and tear, a bit of rust here and there, needed paint, filters, oils, all those sorts of things, but it all works, it's all functional, so I thought I got a pretty good deal. So the first job was just checking out that cooling system, replacing the hoses, flushing it out, all that. Yep. Interesting thing about these old Yanmars, they have no water pumps in them. They just use a thermosiphon action in the radiator through the engine. And one over that as well. Oh man. In Australia, Yanmar's not a greatly popular brand. Getting parts for these old Yanmars is nearly impossible. You have to go to the United States or overseas to get your parts. So, failing that, you have to come up with a cunning plan and use parts where you can find them. So here I've just got some Toyota Corolla radiator hoses, and I'm just cutting them to fit. I think that's going to be good. Okay. Really important on diesel engines to have a good fuel filter system. This had an old petrol engine fuel filter on it. Someone's just made it work, so I'm pulling that apart and putting in a brand new fuel primer filter system. Next job was replacing those front wheel bearings, which were absolutely knackered. That's movement in the wheel bearings. So bad. New bearing, bit of grease inside there, get it square. Front wheel there's missing a bolt, but I ended up replacing all the bolts on both sets of wheels. Back left axle had a pretty decent leak in it, and compared to the right there, the seal inside there needed replacing. That axle hub there was stuck on fast. I don't think it's ever been off in its life. I tried several different things to get this little sucker off, but in the end I had to make a puller plate and just use brute force and lots of heat. Today's about 40 degrees, by the way, Celsius. Put some more heat on it. Heat. Man, it was a relief when it finally came free. I don't have any manuals, but there is some good data online for the Yanmar tractors. And most seals and bearings you can just buy from your local seal and bearing shops. So that mating surface there for the git seal, it's got a groove on the outer side. The inside's not too much. It's polished. I really ought to get that replaced, but that has to come from the States. So to that gasket. So I'm going to probably put it all back together. Put the new seal in there, which only costs about $9. Now that I've got it all freed up, I can pull it apart again later. This will probably last another couple of 100 hours easy. I would say maybe even longer, but I ought to get the parts in position for the next event when it eventually comes. That transmission fluid was pretty putrid. I don't know if it was ever changed, but there's the filter there, all covered in gack. I don't know if that was someone having a little bit too much chili, or this being left out in the elements just a little too long, but it needed fixing all the same. Now I know a lot of people would throw that seat pan in the bin, but I like a challenge, and I went ahead and attempted to repair it. So I'm moving on to the next step now, which is this lip. So it's got a curve and a lip that goes over the edge, so a little bit tricky. Haven't done one of those before, well, not to this extent, so I'll see how we go. I'm sure we can manage it. Albeit far from perfect, it was a lot better being fixed up like that than it was before. The old vinyl seat cover was getting split and really stiff, and it really needed replacing, so I just cut it down into its original pieces, copied those, made templates, and away I went and stitched it together. Well, I'm not an upholsterer, but I gave it a shot. In the end, I was pretty happy how it turned out. So now I was able to turn my attention to the panels and paint. So this tractor had its original front tyres, and they need replacing. You can see there they're splitting, even though they're holding pressure. So I dressed out all the little dings in those rims there, filed them and cleaned them up as best I could, sanded them and resprayed them, and took it all into the tyre shop where I got some new tyres fitted. These guards off, I just wanted to have a look at these brakes. I have actually pulled the left hand side of the brake apart and they're completely shot. There's nothing left on the brake pads at all, but the right hand side's not springing back. Right hand brake's the only one I got left. So I know it's full of dust, and like the left hand side was ridiculous full of dust. This chock is full of asbestos dust, probably. So what you got is the brake pads here, 2 pivot points and a lever on the outside there, so when the lever's pulled the pivot turns. It's like a cam, pushes the brakes out, but it's so jammed up with dust in these pivot points that it won't allow these brake shoes to return. So they've been probably overheated and cracked, and they're destroyed. I've got to do something about that, because but you know, they're so damn expensive, and I have to just sort of have a alternative solution to do this repair. So as for these tractor brakes, now the original brakes, they're completely shot. I have tried to see if we can get some locally in Australia. With no luck. I found a lot of distributors and they just sort of laugh at you. Can't get them. You can get them relined. You take the original, take it to a shop and send it away. It takes a couple of weeks. Very expensive getting your brakes relined, so that's an option. Alternatively, look up brake catalogs and work out the dimensions, the diameter of the brake hub and the width of the brake shoe. And that's what I've done. And I came up and I found that a Kawasaki KLR 250 984 to 2005, I think it is, that model has almost the same dimensions in terms of the it's 150 millimeters, which is about 4 inches, by 38 millimeters. This one is actually 35 millimeters, so it's a close fit. It will need some work to make it work, as in I might have to remove some material and build some material up. So that's what I'm going to attempt. These are only $44 a pair. To get a new set of brake shoes from the United States would cost anywhere from, for me, about $70 a shoe, plus postage of around $150 or something like that. So it's just out of the question. Well, I finally got the tractor up to the property, but it wasn't the end of my problems, unfortunately. Had a fuel leak in the tank. Have to get rid of the fuel that's in here. It's not much. There you see on the bottom of the tank, look at that, big long crack. Someone's had a go at it before with some goop. Let me see if I can clean that up and fix it. That's a pretty serious crack, that. It's opens up to a couple of millimeters. That's going to be a bit of a job to fix that one. And a soldering iron here. So here I'm melting in some HDPE plastic. It's just a piece of IBC tank. And it works real good if you melt it in. It's the same type of plastic as what the fuel tank's made out of. How am I going to tell now? So I topped up the fuel tank with some diesel and no leaks, and it runs pretty well now, so I'm very happy with it. So I reckon I'll breathe some new life back into this old 1978 Yanmar tractor, and it's going to be a real asset on the property up there, a daily use probably. The only job really left for me to do is to make a rollover protection cage. And anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and love to see you in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one.